and welcome to the NUFC360 Weekly Podcast again. Seems like you're mixing from presenter either to me or Will. Will's not available this week, so you're going to be stuck with me. Johnny's back, and you probably got a face that you haven't seen for a while. Tom, who's decided to,
gracious for his presence.
So help is
That's a lovely way of putting it. Yeah.
On my lunch break, or tea break as it is.
Like a knight in a white shining hoodie.
So we'll go firstly with you, Johnny. Before we hit the topics that we're going to have on there, what would you say has been the best thing in the last 7 days at Newcastle?
It's got to be Sven Botman, hasn't it? I think he's been I think all the commentary around him has been top 3 young centre backs in the world and all this sort of good stuff. Obviously signed end of last week officially. First day training today. So can't wait to see him in action, to be honest. I think that's probably our defensive recruitment done for the summer, I would imagine. In terms of, obviously we have Pope and we've got Botman and obviously Target's gone permanent. So I imagine that's probably just done. But I think Sven Botman's spot on. What a signing.
And Tom, what about yourself?
Amazing. I mean, I was sorry, I've just bit my tongue. I actually missed it when it happened because I was away at Stag Do. So we found out a little bit later. But yeah, I think it is. It's weird because you kind of forget that we already had a pretty strong squad at the end of the season, and it just feels like we've just tightened up those little screws that were a little bit loose now. And I think it's pretty exciting. Even, I mean, I've just got the tickets for the 2 friendlies at the end of the month, which I'm sure we'll get onto in a bit. But yeah, very optimistic.
Do we think? You two think that we can play 2 left-footed centre backs? It's a very rare thing. Obviously, 2 right-footed centre backs is quite it happens quite often. But do we think with Burn and Botman, do you think will they play together? Will it be Shah? Like, what do you guys think?
Question is, do we know whether or not either of them are poor on the right foot?
I don't know. Burn didn't look overly comfortable on his right foot, but I'm not comfortable on my left foot, so it's probably pretty similar. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
We'll find out.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it is that thing. It's kind of who are the strongest players in the squad, who bonds together the best.
Fair enough. This is an interesting one, isn't it?
Well, you look at the fact that did Shaw really do anything wrong? Yeah, it's who performs in the friendlies that'll dictate to who's going to start from the season. Yeah, Botman might not impress you in the season. You might still keep Burning. I doubt you probably will do.
I doubt we're going to be. Yeah, Botman on the bench.
It may still happen. Yeah, Bruno started on the bench when he first signed. Yeah, so
but there was no pre-training or anything to sort of wheeled him in. But yeah, I guess it's true.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the first topic that we've got on there, which caused quite a lot of controversy on social media. With one person even sort of like suggesting a boycott over the fact that the ticket prices increased to £20. Do you think that £20 for a friendly game is too much? And we'll go to Johnny first on that one.
No. I think £20 is a very reasonable amount. If you go back 21 years when we played Athletic Bilbao previously in a friendly, it was £20. And that was 20 years ago. If you think about the cost of everything else in terms of, how much a pint was there compared to how much a pint was now, how much petrol was then compared to now, my goodness. The difference is huge. But, for paying the same price for a ticket, I think it's a very reasonable amount to pay. I know under Ashley things were cheaper in terms of friendlies, but the demand wasn't there for the friendlies because why would it be? And I think it was a poorer product. If we want to see investment in the club, and we want to see the money reinvested that we spend as fans, on whether it's merchandise, tickets, drinks at the game, whatever it may be, I think we need to put it in. And I think £20 is a very reasonable amount of money, to be honest. As I say, minimum wage is what, £8.90 or so, I think, in the UK. So a couple of hours work to go watch a couple of hours of football. I think it's pretty fair, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only thing we need to be careful of is, fair enough, the cost of everything's gone up. Yeah, fair enough, we've got a much stronger squad and there's much more people actually wanting to see and going to be fighting over tickets. But I think the only thing we need to be careful of is this going to be a price rise that this is going to be the new standard, or is it going to keep creeping up? So if we continue doing better and better, is it going to go up to £25? And the next few years later, is it going to go up to £30? And is it just going to keep going up and up and up? So I think there is that thing of find a price that sort of seems, and then sort of stick with that.
Yeah,
it's £9.50 for the minimum wage now.
Is this? Well, there you go.
Yeah.
It gets even closer. I think that's. I honestly think it's fair. Now, I don't imagine the prices will hike again. Like, I know obviously there was talk of what happened in cup games and that sort of stuff, but the demand is there. As you saw, what was it, like 40,000 people queuing for tickets, or whatever it was, for the friendly.
I don't necessarily agree with that number. I think people have just probably guessed at that. I think the most I've probably seen online was maybe 15,000. Maybe a chance of looking at it, and you probably were looking at maybe a few hundred queuing outside the box office, which again is a rarity. Yeah. The only time you'd see queuing outside the box office under the Ashley regime would be for refunds.
It'll be interesting to see how many people. I know because they weren't open in level 7 initially, and I wonder if they will do if the demand is there. I'm also very interested to see, obviously, the two games straight after each other, a day after each other, how that is played with the squad. Do we play all our first teamers in one game? Do we mix and match? Or how's that going to work?
It'll be like a mix and match, I think. Yeah, you'll probably see
otherwise you're just going to burn them out. 2 games, one after another.
Like Dubravka in one game, Pope in the other game. You'll probably have like Lascelles and, let's say, Byrne in one game and Shaw and you're like Crack starting one. Yeah.
Otherwise, can you imagine we get injuries before we even started?
But it's probably a chance of giving the whole squad 90 minutes in the space of like 2 days. So that's probably where it's probably going to come from, and maybe then use the academy lads.
I think it can be a good chance as well. Yeah. If there's any players that think might want to link, that I think might seem to be working quite well, linking up in training, then that might be a chance to sort of try them out in a real game.
Yeah,
we've got 3 away friendlies to do that after the Gateshead game this Saturday.
Yeah, after Austria, aren't
we? Yeah. Playing Munich, Mainz, and then obviously we're off to Portugal to play Benfica before we return home to what looks as if it's going to be a very newly spruced up St. James's.
I know. It's nice, isn't it, though, to have opposition of that caliber. Like, I looked at I know last season there was still a bit COVID around and all the rest of it, but we played York and Doncaster and Leyton Orient, or whoever, I can't remember who it was. All these teams who were obviously League 1, League 2 standard. You just think, this is actually it's a much better idea.
We played Norwich in the home game, which at the time was a Premier League quality side.
Not anymore.
But no, it is all European-ish sort of like sides. Yeah, when you look at it, and it's probably a trait of what Eddie Howe does in that sense, because he seems to go with that, and it is that point of were we maybe paying £10 a little bit for too long? Yeah, should it have been like £10 and then jumping up to 15 and then going up to 20? And is it not just the case that, frankly, it was down to the fact that we just didn't have the demand that they decided, well, it would look better if we keep it at £10 and try and fill the ground, then bump it up a price and that, and would get no one in. You also look at the fact that if you go into both games, you can save a £5 in essence, in the fact that it's 35 instead of what would have been 40. So they're still doing stuff on that. Yeah, I understand where everyone's coming from, where they're saying is the cost of living. But just as we've got the cost of fuel, electricity and everything like that, exactly the same with the club. Yeah, so yeah, and I know they're saying now the owners don't have it. It's not the owners' money. Yeah, this is what I think people seem to forget. The club needs to raise and create its own funds to be able to get this sorted.
It's you're right, and I say it's I also appreciate time is difficult, but it's still a business at the end of the day. It still needs to make money. It still needs, as you say, it needs to generate. The owners can, as we all know, can be the richest in the world. But if the club isn't generating money, we can't buy players. We can't invest in the team, and especially with the new financial regulations coming in, where it takes into account not just transfers, but infrastructure and women's teams and stadium rebuilds and all the rest of it. That's all now coming into the same financial guidance. And so therefore, we need as much investment, as much input and revenue generation into the club as we can, which starts with match tickets. So yeah, all for it. All for it.
Well, what we'll do is we'll move on to the next topic now, which again goes into the fair play aspect of it, because at least it gives us a little bit more money to go and look at someone else there. Obviously, with the Ekitike deal looking as if that's gone the way now, who do we go for now?
I'm going to go controversial with this. It's slightly different. I say we give Anderson a chance, Elliot Anderson. Similar age to Ekitike. I know he's not a forward, obviously, but I wouldn't have imagined Ekitike would have played up top. I would have imagined he would have probably been bedded in on the wing, same as a la Henry. I genuinely think Elliot Anderson could be, a 20-25 game a season player next season if given the opportunity.
Yeah, but Elliot Anderson was playing in League 2 last season. Ekitike, yeah, despite the fact that people might not like him because of his season, was playing in League 1 last season. So that's the one thing that we need to look at, and the one thing that we don't want to risk is putting too much pressure onto a young lad and finding out that we probably did similar with Adam Armstrong. Yeah, we wanted too much too soon for him, and I think that was just too much, and then it didn't work out for him. The same probably happened with Adam Campbell and everything. So yeah, Matty Longstaff could be in the same sort of position, where he's came in, we thought he's done okay, we've then tried to push, but then I think that's the problem with that. Yeah, I still think Elliot Anderson probably needs to maybe go out to whether or not a League One or a Championship side, and even if it's just for the first half of the season, and then we'll look at it after that point. But I just think it's a bit too soon to be saying, let's put all our eggs in one basket and let's give Elliot Anderson a chance in that sense.
I'm not. But
I also think Elliot Anderson is an out-and-out striker, because that's what we need to look at. If Callum Wilson goes out injured, is Elliot Anderson going to be the person that would be? No, but that's what we need to be looking at. Because is Chris Wood capable of replacing Wilson on his form last season? Not really. Dwight Gale's been told to train with the reserves because he's not needed. So you're now looking at the fact that it's Callum Wilson and Chris Wood, and we know that Callum Wilson isn't going to stay fit for the season. So we need someone, ideally probably someone who's going to play on the wing and as a forward. But it's something that we need to look at.
There's one that's I was just about to say, DRB, obviously, I mean, we're already linked with him anyway. I know he's more of a winger, but, I mean, still potentially a good sign.
He's the one I've got my heart set on. Like, if we could sign anybody this summer, it would be DRB, to be fair.
And to be honest, because a lot of people were saying Raheem Sterling, obviously, he's pretty much set in stone going to Chelsea now, so that one's off the picture. Whereas,
I just think I think if we sign a DRB, because of the Ekitike things falling through, if we sign a DRB and we get a player in on loan, a striker on loan. So if it's Brozier maybe, or I don't know, don't even know any other kind of young strikers, to be fair. But someone that we get on loan as backup to Wilson, where we're not spending too much money. I just think, go big on JRB and give Elliot Anderson a chance as a kind of a secondary winger almost. Which means you probably have to ship out one of Fraser or Almiron, or Murphy.
Almiron,
probably, or maybe Murphy.
But there you go. So I just think give him a chance. You're never going to know until you give him a chance.
Yeah, and it's not. It maybe wouldn't be someone if we did sign Derby. You maybe wouldn't necessarily just bring him straight away. Obviously, I mean, I don't think he's ever played in the Premier League. So
no. I would probably
still have my heart.
Obviously, we do, and it's not going to happen. It's not one. We don't have the money for that level of signing, and two, it's not an area that we really need someone in there. If you're going to focus on someone that you need, it's a winger or a striker, and that you need to look at there. I'd probably say, if it was possible, if we could get Brozier in on loan, then why not try and say, right, let's all go all out for Diaby, and then that's that aspect of that sort of you then bringing in the winger that you want, is you're bringing in probably a capable backup in Brozier, and then you've done your strengthening, and probably with a squad that's probably really capable of finishing in the top half, comfortably.
If we get Diaby, we're challenging Europe. Like if that front three of Diaby, Wilson, and ASM, if they stay fit for half the season, like all three of them, we're challenging 8th at least.
We also
7th,
need
maybe.
to remember that we're probably going to see a rejuvenated Willock.
Yeah.
As well from the midfield, and hopefully he's going to be a one that gets obviously Fraser. We're seeing become rejuvenated under Eddie Howe. In that sense, we've got Trippier in his free kicks. As long as he can stay fit. In that sense, you've got Bruno and Joe Linton, who as a midfield too are just going to hopefully continue where they left off and be unreal. So I think there's probably lots of positives that you can look at in that sense. It's one of those difficult things there, because it's like, what would you focus on? Would you rather focus on going all out for a winger like Diaby, or would you rather go all out and like try to bring in a striker? Because the one thing that we need to look at is Callum Wilson going to be the number one choice for starting as a striker? Because if that's the case, that'll then dictate who else you're bringing in as a striker. Because I'm sure if you were to look at anyone else, like even if you're looking at like Patrick, if we're looking at that sort of one, he's not going to just settle for being like second choice. He'll want to be the main man. So that's the one thing that we need to look at in there.
But the thing is, the issue is there is you could put bloody Messi up front. If you got Almiron supplying him, he's not going to get many goals. What we need is someone who is a quality, has a great final product on that wing. ASM's end product is hit and miss, sometimes tremendous, sometimes not so much. You need someone who's consistent, who has that quality. And I just think someone of Diaby's caliber, no matter if it's Wood up front, if it's Gale, if it's me up front, we're going to be scoring goals, given the quality of the the quality of that he brings. So I think that winger position is the most critical, because you always forget Joe Linton was a forward. Joe Linton can easily fill in up top.
Yeah, but don't get Mark to say this SB word. Don't get Mark to say it.
He was placed as a forward under previous management, but I think we found out that under the current management that they know his real position and it isn't up front.
Yeah,
he can still contribute though, because I think I spent last night just watching over the Arsenal game, just because I'm missing like proper football, so I'm like, let's just watch that game again. And obviously Joe Lennon got an assist. Yeah. So you're looking at that and going, he can still do that in that sense, but he's probably better in the midfield aspect where he's got that grit. He can go in, he can tackle, he can win and fight, but if needs be, he can support in that sense. But I also think the biggest thing that's helped with him is that there isn't that pressure on him to go and say, right, you're the striker, you need to get the goals in that sense. And I think that's the biggest thing that's helped him, is that pressure's off him in that sense. Obviously, with someone like Callum Wilson, he's an out-and-out striker. He wants that pressure. He wants to score those goals. I'd love nothing more than keeping him fit for the season, because if we keep him fit for the season, then he's getting 20 goals.
Yeah, agreed.
It's a guarantee in that sense. You're just also looking at, could Almiron decide that he's going to turn into the player that we all hoped that he was? And if that's the case, well, no, but you look at that and think, look at the work that Eddie Howe's done. Could he do another miracle in the pre-season and turn Almiron into the player that we want, a player that can, be a forward aspect, can start scoring goals like he was in the MLS, or can be a winger that gets assists? Because I think he only scored one goal last season. He didn't get any assists. So we're talking about who we could bring in, but is there someone within the squad that we actually look at and go, actually, do you know what? They've shocked us and they've surprised in that sense,
You mean like a young lad who's Geordie, who's an attacking midfielder / a winger, who had a really good season last season, scoring goals and getting assists, and
in League 2.
I think that was your point, though, wasn't it?
No, the point was that we've got first team players who were in the first team squad, and at least he scored a goal last season. But he came. The fact is, he came in with that potential, and we spent quite a fair bit on him. In terms of the order ownership, we spent quite a lot on him, in that sense. But you look at going, because he's always had that battle and create abilities, and he'll fight and he'll run and he'll go for the team. But it's the case that he needs to put that end product in there, so he needs to be able to finish and he needs to be able to get assisted. If he's not going to do that, then we need to get him shipped out, because we can't carry someone that's not going to get us. You can run as much as you want, but if you're in a forward position and you're not getting assists or goals, then it's pointless you being on that pitch, to be fair.
Yeah, totally agreed. He took his game.
Anyone else that you've got on your mind, Tom, or are you going to...
I feel like it's pretty much sort of done now, I think. And to be honest, I'm quite happy with that. I think we're in a really good position to start the season. If there is anything that we need, I think January transfer window is...
So you think that we're not signing anyone else?
I think it's unlikely. Well, I'm not saying it's unlikely, but I would be more leaning towards that sort of being it than sort of not. I feel like
I couldn't disagree more. I genuinely don't think,
apart from DRB,
the club will let it go without getting in at least another striker in that sense. I understand there's a lot of push that's trying to get players out. Obviously, we're trying to get the deadwood like Clark and Fernandez and Gale shipped out, but we can't, because they were signed on grotesque wages by the previous regime, because they didn't really want to spend the real money and actually replacing them with the quality that we needed in that sense. So I understand that's obviously a big push that we need to try and get those out, just to try and get the wages down in that sense. But I still can't see us going with just what we've got. I do think we're whether or not we just sign one more. I don't know. I think there'd be a minimum of one more signing that we're going to get in.
The fact that Gale's playing with the reserves has been demoted to the under-23s screams to me that we're going to get another striker. Like that wouldn't be the case if we weren't in for another striker, or we weren't going to sign another centre forward. Gale will be in the first team, or be training with the first team, because Wilson obviously isn't. He's injury prone, let's face it. And then obviously we wouldn't have Wood then, so 100% Gale would still be training with the first team if that was a possibility.
Oh, but please, during the friendlies game, can we have Santiago Munoz, on the pitch?
Scoring the last minute goal.
Actually, no. Get him on one of the home friendlies, yeah, and then give him a free kick to try and
He's
put
off
in
to
the back
Real
of the net
Madrid.
for.
I had a quick question actually before we get on to the third one. How do you think we'll do in the cups this year? Because do you feel like we're going to put a bit more effort into it now that it's sort of hopefully going to be a lot more positive in the league, that we can sort of put a bit more resources into the cups now?
Or do we have the quality within the squad that means that we can rotate and still put out a really good side?
Yeah.
Because you can look at it, you could rest. Well, no, you could rest Trippier, Shaw, Botman, and Target.
Even just sitting here being like, yeah, Fabian's there, Botman, and
Target, and then you can still put out a back line.
Imagine being sat here like a year and a half ago and saying, yeah, we can rest Trippier, we can rest Botman.
Let's say Pope as well, and then you can still put Dubravka in goal. You can then still have Kraft, Lascelles, Byrne, and Lewis as your back line, and that's still a pretty good back line compared to probably what would have been putting out in the cup previously. You're then looking at the fact of, let's say we give Bruno a rest. You've then got Sean Longstaff and John Joe Shelby to come in your midfield. In that sense, you could then have like Miggy coming in, Jacob Murphy coming in. So you're looking at that side of things. Yeah, Chris Wood comes in instead of Wilson. So you're looking at that and you're going, even if we're putting out with second string aspect side, it's a lot stronger.
That team can't win a cup. That team wouldn't win a cup.
No, but it can get through to certain levels. It depends on who we're drawing.
Yeah, if you get through the first couple of stages, then you can play a stronger squad. Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm meaning is, we've got a squad net that's capable of the fact that you can rotate. Yeah, whether or not you maybe rest 4 or 5, and we can rotate and still have a strong enough squad or team that will be able to compete in the competition. Whereas we didn't have that before. We'd be bringing in youngsters and that, and it would just be a case of, let's just get this seen. The other thing is it also depends on where we are in the league at that time. Because whilst we can all be confident, there's no guarantee that we're not going to be fighting relegation. Yeah, that's football in that sense. So you look at that, but I do think Eddie Howe's he's going to be the type of manager that wants to try and have a go at the cups, and I think the club's owners are going to want us to have a go at the cups because they would love the earliest opportunity. You think if the cup's the chance for us to win silverware and get into Europe, it's a win-win in terms of the ownership. They've won silverware and they've got into Europe, so in that sense we're probably ahead of time in what we do because we're in Europe and we've won silverware. So in that sense, I think the cups will be a priority. Yeah,
could possibly.
We just need a good cup run.
Yeah, bring on Sunderland. Come on.
I'd love that.
Yeah,
has to be St James's though, because I don't really fancy travelling over.
Even at St James's, it would probably be.
It's a lose though, isn't it? If we got Sunderland in the cup, we'd be expected to beat them. So if we win, no big deal. But if we lose, it's a huge deal. So it's lose for us.
Yeah, but then we can go with one in a row.
Yeah. That's can't believe that still goes on, but never mind.
Well, that's the only thing that they've really got a positive to shout about. So
I saw the flew from Newcastle today. I saw that. It was a nice little tweet from Newcastle Airport to say goodbye.
We'll still argue about that. Well, majority of time, you cling to whatever you want to cling from, but you've still got to fly from Newcastle to get to Spain.
Or Portugal.
It's close enough. So what we'll do is we'll move on to the final one now, which again probably isn't that much of a problem for Sunderland because they're not really a draw of TV. But will Newcastle be an appeal to TV companies going forward? And that's obviously off the back of the fact that if we look at the most recent announcement, 4 of our opening games up until mid-September have been selected for TV coverage. So is it a case that for the right reasons, we're going to be an appeal to the TV companies now rather than nothing. And we'll go to Tom with that one.
Yeah. You're on mute.
Sorry, my sound's been cutting in and out. Can you repeat that?
Well, I want you to.
What are your thoughts on us being on TV loads?
Yeah.
I think it's good. The only question I've got is, I think it feels like they're starting to take us more seriously now, the broadcasters. The only thing is, are they sort of taking a gamble in the hope that we're going to be sort of up there with the Cities, with the Liverpools, or is it maybe going to be one of these things where they're going to do it for the first 5 games, and then after that they're going to see where we are, and then sort of, if we're doing well, then they'll keep paying interest. If they're not doing that well, then are we just going to sink back to where we are now?
Well, I also think TV audiences will dictate that, because that's the main thing that they need to look at. They need to put matches on the TV. One, I think they've got to have a commitment of putting so many teams on. Yeah, like for a minimum of time, I think you've got to have like a minimum amount of games that a team can be on. But you also need to look at the fact of what teams are going to bring the most coverage in terms of like who's going to be. Let's say you've got a normal TV audience of, let's say, 100,000, but when Newcastle are on, you've got 150 to 200,000.
It's all about advertising revenue, isn't it?
Exactly. Well, that's the point, though. So they're going to put the games on. That's going to increase the TV audience, which means they can increase the amount that they can charge for ad revenue in that sense. Yeah, because that's the main thing. They want views and that, which is why you'd probably see like the big games like your Man U v Man Cities, your Man U v Liverpool, your Liverpool v Man Cities. Those sort of games you'd put on TV. You always normally see a Newcastle Liverpool game on TV because it always used to be that sort of like a good game. Man City Newcastle net always seems to be on TV. And thanks to Sky, they've moved to a 4:30 on a Sunday, so thanks for that. You're looking at. It's not, to be honest, it's nice being a draw, and it's nice that 3 of the away games are on TV. Because it saves you having to like tune into BBC Radio Newcastle to,
of course,
listen to the commentary. You can actually watch the game and see what's happening. Because the likelihood is
wrong with the BBC Radio Newcastle commentary.
Oh no, Reels is a legend. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's when you can actually see it instead of trying to imagine it in your head.
Yeah.
Well, it's just so much better, especially when you watch the highlights and his commentaries on it. It just makes it so much better. But no, it is just that, because I think that's the other thing which, hopefully we are on TV a bit more, because that's the one thing with away games now. We'll talk about obviously the cost of like £20 being enough for friendly games and obviously the demand and stuff like that. But the demand for away game tickets is just going to be unreal. You're going to be looking at probably over 100 points for most away games now, because there's going to be the demand there for that. Well, I love to get to an away game. Yes.
What I don't get is why, when obviously the Premier League fixtures got released a few weeks ago, why on earth they don't just consult Sky and BT to begin with before they get released. A day before, they go, okay, this is going to be the list. This is going to be the fixtures. Which ones do you want to put on and when? And then when the fixtures get released, they all come out and go, okay, this one's on TV, this one's on TV. And don't get moved afterwards. It's the fixtures when they're released by the Premier League. It's all as one. Like, it just doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, no, they always put, so the very first game of the season, those games were announced when the fixtures came out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Then they looked at the other games, which understandably they'd be looking and taking a step and going, right, okay. The other thing that they may need to do is they may need to discuss with the clubs. It might not just be as simple as these are the games that we want. They may actually have to go and speak to the clubs and say, well, look, this is where we want it. Those sort of aspects of that sense, and go from there. It's difficult. You then also look at the previous, other things. You can't really pick games from like October, like later on in the season because you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, you might pick games and there might be irrelevance. Yeah, whereas you might then miss a game that's going to be like right down
this
in
this stage of the season. So I get that. I get that over the Christmas period and later in the season when it's you don't know who's going to be in relegation zone, who's going to be fighting for Europe, all the rest of it. But at this stage of the season where it's all they've done is announced. I think it's like August, September, October, haven't they? Why on earth they couldn't just do that when the fixtures are released is beyond me. Take a day or two, consult with the police, consult with the clubs, make sure they're happy to move one fixture a couple of hours earlier or one fixture to the next day or whatever, and just release it all at the same time. It means there's no messing around, there's no second guessing, and fans can start looking at travel and looking at book, or whatever it may be. I know it's a bit early for that, but I just don't get it why they couldn't just do that. In terms of Newcastle, I don't know about you guys, but I always think Newcastle's on TV loads. Like we've always been on TV loads. And I know there was always that rumor that the person who picked the games for Sky was a Newcastle fan. I don't know how true that was, but that certainly always was the rumor when I was growing up.
Because we're always in a relegation battle, that's why.
But I think we've always been on TV, so now it's
we've always been relegation battles.
Yeah, maybe, but yeah, I'm more than happy with it being on TV, especially the away games. This is here, and obviously
the only thing that I
Man
think
City, Liverpool are.
Yeah, the only thing I think that needs to be done with that is that I think there should be some level of agreement. That if you book train tickets or something for a game on a particular day and it gets moved due to a TV fixture, there should be like a reciprocal agreement between like clubs and the TV companies and the real companies that you can change that ticket so that if you can show that you've got a ticket for the away game or something like that or whatever, and then there should be that level of agreement because that's the big issue with away games. You could book train tickets, but then you've then got to change everything. There might be additional costs and stuff like that. So why not try and it's not just all down to the TV companies because you can understand they've got to do what's right for the cost that they're paying out, which is quite a lot that they're paying for the rights. So they've got a choice to do that. You also then look at who exactly has the final decision. Sky might turn around and say, well, look, we want these games, but then there might be someone else that finalises and says, well, we'll put this game in this slot for you or whatever. Do you know what I mean? We don't know the ins and outs of who picks slots and stuff like that. It might just be, well, we want these particular games, and they're like, well, that game's going to go in this slot, that game. It's difficult to know that. We just got to.
Yeah, it's a long debate because I actually personally, I know Sky have done a lot for the Premier League and brought it on leaps and bounds in terms of the money that's come in and all the rest of it since its inception. But the Premier League, as an organisation or as a business, have got to look at providing their own product instead of selling it to broadcasters. Just start looking at streaming. Having a platform where it's like Netflix almost or Amazon Prime kind of thing, where they have their own platform and they're able to sell it globally. Enough of the kind of the 3 o'clock kickoffs. I think that's now a thing of the past because of obviously previously it was because I didn't want viewing figures and audiences to reduce because matches are on TV. I think that's proven to be false, to be honest. I think you'll always get crowds no matter what. So for me, I think the whole system and the whole way it's kind of divvied out in terms of the spend and the money and where it all goes, just need a big look at. But as I say, that is a big topic for a long debate for another day for sure.
And on that's something that we'll do as well. We will leave discussions for another day. We will end this because obviously we have ran over a little bit to what we normally would. In that sense, thank you for all those who put the comments in there. Obviously, if you do have any feedback, if you're watching this back, then drop it in the comments below. And we'll see you next week for another episode and hopefully, maybe something different to talk about. Win against Gateshead, that'd be nice. But we'll be back next weekend there. So thanks to Johnny, thanks to Tom, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks, Ned.
Cheers, Nat.